Hello everyone, this is Josh from Riskers and Wrenches, and in this video we are going to be getting our 1964 Chevy Chevelle Malibu running for the first time in 34 years. The last time this thing was registered and insured and put on the motorway was 1991. It's currently 2025, so that is 34 years this thing has been sitting and waiting to live another day. Now, when I first bought this thing, it was not even locked up. It still wanted to spin over. It has 52,000 original miles. I am the third registered owner, clean and clear title. There is virtually no rust on this thing, minus a few wheel well things and a few little pinholes in the floorboards. This thing was put up on blocks in 1991 behind a barn and forgotten about because apparently the motor smokes like a choo-choo train. So I'm not holding out too much hope for this motor, but I do hope I can at least make it make some noise for you guys. Now, the last time you guys saw this thing was in the video I just released, showing how I got this thing ready to run in this video, or at least prepped it where it won't put up too much of a fight, I'm hoping. We cleaned out the interior of this thing because it was absolutely filthy. The headliner was just everywhere. There was a bunch of parts, a bunch of crap on the inside of this thing. We found the keys underneath the passenger seat, which was super awesome, and fixed some wiring on the engine bay, so it actually does crank and the dash and everything lights up straight from the key on the dash, which is super, super nice. Now, first things first, I do know this thing is missing a coil. I don't know if it was taken off for another project or what happened, but it does not currently have a coil. I have a coil that I robbed off of one of my other projects. Now, we're going to have to do a little bit of wiring because the coil hookup points are chewed by rats, so we'll have to do some little wiring there. But other than that, put the coil on there, free up the carburetor because it is kind of sticky, and we should be able to make this thing at least try to make some noise or at least check for spark. Now, like I said, straight off the bat, we have a few wires here that are leading to where our coil should be. As you guys can tell, there is nothing on the end of there. We're going to have to fix up these wires, then pop a little wire right into there and check for spark. And I'm crossing my fingers that we put a coil through this thing and it makes spark. We can get that carburetor unseized, and this thing should, in the very least, try to make some noise. I'm not hoping for it to run perfectly, but I am hoping to at least make a little bit of noise out of this old thing. And maybe if we can get this thing running all right, I'll take out that drive shaft because the rear end still is locked up from the brakes and see if that transmission actually moves at all. That would be super, super cool. Well, here is the coil I have robbed off another one of my projects. It's not amazing, but I have heard the thing I robbed this thing off of make some noise and cough a little bit, so I know this is at least a semi-functional coil. It'll at least tell us if this motor is any good or we are getting spark. Now, first things first, I'm going to try to dig out that crap and everything that's in the distributor cap, pop this thing on there, run these little clamp wires up to here. I wasn't able to find any nuts for this thing. The car I got it off of just had the push-on style. This thing needs nuts. I couldn't find any to push on things to wire into this thing or the nuts to put on here, so I'm just going to have to use these little electrical clamps. But like I said, this will at least tell us if this motor has any life left in it at all. And I do know for a fact we are going to have to put some oil in this thing because this thing is basically empty, which does track with the story that it was smoking like a damn choo-choo train. I'm guessing the piston rings or the head on this thing is completely shot and it's just blowing all the oil right back out the exhaust. So, now that I'm looking at this wire is not factory. What I believe this is an aftermarket tack hookup. So what I'm going to do is just run the positive straight to the battery post and then the negative to the negative hookup and then pop this little guy in there, distributor cap, once I clean it up. And that should give us spark, I hope. That rat's nest cleaned out of there. Pop this guy down onto the coil like such. There we go. We'll just kind of set this guy up on top of the motor where it hopefully won't fall away. Maybe I should zip tie that up there a little bit better. But this should be enough for us to try to see if this thing has any spark. Now I'm going to put the battery post back on here, run the battery charger over here, and we're going to switch over to that making that carburetor move so I can actually spray some carb cleaner or something flammable down there and see if this thing will even putter or pop or do anything at all. Again, I kind of have my doubts, but I'm holding out a little bit of hope here. Well, here's the moment of truth. Let's see what happens. If you ever see a spark plug that's that dark, you know the thing's been running super rich or burning a lot of oil. So that does track with the smoking like a choo-choo train claim. Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna hook this thing back up to the spark plug wire that I pulled out. I'm gonna put it to the exhaust manifold or something like that where it grounds out, because that's how your spark plug works. It gets power through here, then it grounds out through your threads of the motor and it makes a spark. So what you need to do is you need to get your motor cranking over while holding this to a piece of metal. And if you can see it spark, you know you have spark. If you're getting nothing, you know you don't have spark. Whoop. Well, alrighty, the fact that you didn't see any spark means it's clearly not getting any spark, so we're gonna have to troubleshoot that. My thought is where I connected that coil to, put the wire on, you know, where the wire is missing in the middle, that's called your distributor. It gets the power from that middle bit, and there's a little thing in there that spins, and it sends power to each of, you know, your spark plugs, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, stuff like that. Well, it's not in that order, but, you know, just for example, you have 6, you know, you have 6 spark plugs, it sends power through all of them in a certain order, and that's how your motor runs. If there's any corrosion or like rust or something on those metal bits that they touch, there's not going to get a good, you know, spark through there, and they're not going to get any power. I'm going to pop that cap off, file down the points a little bit, you know, clean them up to make sure they're actually not rust and there's actually metal there. Clean them all back up, put them back in, and then that should give us spark and this thing should catch off. That's my thought. All right, I'm gonna take off this guy right down here. Like I said, it's got all your spark plugs. I'm guessing there's a little bit of corrosion or something in there. So that's our next step. I need a big old flathead is what I need. No, that actually looks pretty clean in there. That's worrying. I was hoping that would be really ugly and I'd have... Yeah, that looks super clean in there actually. My goodness. Yeah, see if you guys look in here, all that metal looks good. I figured it'd be a lot rustier and that'd be the reason why we're not getting spark. Let me pull this guy over to the side. Just set him up over there. And he can stay out right there. Another good way to test is this little guy right here. It's called your points. Whenever they separate, you should get a spark. And see, there's nothing happening down there. So my thought is there's a little bit of corrosion on there. I'm gonna file that off and I bet we'll have spark again. Okay, well, I've got good news and I've got bad news. Good news is I found some emery cloth, which is just sandpaper on cloth so you can bend it around, do all that fun stuff. It's really nice to work with. My dad had some of it laying around. But the bad news is I went and talked to him and we kind of talked for a minute. He has worked on a lot of these old things with points. You know, he's got old construction equipment, you know, lawnmowers, stuff like that, which still do use carburetors and points and everything like that a lot of the times. And this little tube right down here that I'm touching, it's called a condenser. It's kind of like what you call a capacitor. It stores a bunch of energy and makes just a cleaner break between these two instead of, you know, sporadic high voltage. It kind of voltages it down and makes it to a smoother lower voltage, so it's more usable. He says these things normally is what dies when you leave them sit for a long time. And if you're not getting spark through there, it's probably what it is. And sadly, it's Sunday right now, so I'm not going to be able to get these from a parts store right now. But I'm going to sand this down and just cross my fingers and hope. If this doesn't work, I'm going to pick up a condenser tomorrow after work, and we'll pick up where we left off. So right in there, where those two little pieces... Oh, come on, focus now. You can do it. Right up there where those two little circles meet, those are supposed to be about a business card width apart. That right there, this spins, those open up, and that's what sends power to all of your spark plugs and everything. If those aren't gapped correctly, you're either not going to get a spark at all, or your spark's going to be super weak and your engine's not going to run right. So I'm going to gap those real quick. You loosen that screw, and you tighten it up with the business card in between there until you can move it in and out without a lot of fuss. Well, and as you guys could tell, there was no spark coming across those two little things. So my thought is this condenser right here is bad, making the spark either be not enough voltage or just something where it's not coming through here. I'm going to need a new one of those, which is something I cannot get today, as like I said, it is Sunday. So we'll pick this back up tomorrow after work, I believe. I do have the scrap the Toyota pickup. I've got to go drop that off after work, so it might be Tuesday, but we will pick this thing back up in just a couple days whenever I can get one of those parts.
Over 1 month later.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a couple weeks later, and I've thought about it and did some rewiring, and if you look really closely in there, if I can get these things to come apart, it's kind of hard to do with only one hand. Hold on. See that little sparks in there? That means that this thing is actually getting spark across where it needs to be. So the next step is putting that spark plug back in here, grounding it out and cranking it over and see if it actually does get spark. All right, now I've got this test light hooked up right here to the negative side. And as you can see, when I touch the positive side, oh, come on now, it lights up whenever I get through the corrosion and everything on it like that. So I'm gonna stick this here in this spark plug lid, and then we're gonna go over there, crank it over, and you guys are gonna watch and tell me if this thing lights up. Because if it does, that means we got spark and we can dump some gas down this carb and see if it actually will run, which is super, super exciting. Okay, so for some reason, we're still not getting spark, even though we're getting amazing spark across the points right here. Whenever I pop them apart, you can hear it clicking. It's getting spark from there, but it's not getting it to all the spark plugs themselves. So we got to figure out why that is. My thought is maybe the underside of this cap's, well, just run away, I guess. All right, as I was saying, my thought is the points in here are all dinged up, or the wire and the connection in there coming from this cap and getting everything out and about is junk. So I'm gonna pull all these out, polish them, pop them back in, do the same thing with the cap itself, and then hopefully we'll have spark. All right, enough. At least spark off the door. I'll show you guys with it. That's gotta get it. I'm not getting out across now. Just out of curiosity, maybe my test light's too slow. This thing is getting spark, and if I throw a little bit of gas into there, it'll kick right over. Let's just see. It's a lot of gas. Oh my God, that's hitting. Oh, that's hitting, bud. That's hitting. That, oh my God, it is getting spark. Oh my God, that's hitting. Dude, that's hitting. Okay, let's put all these spark plugs back in it. Oh my God, that was hitting. That was hitting. Oh my God. Oh my God, my test light sucks. My test light is way too slow to capture it. That is getting spark. Holy crap. More gasoline. More gasoline. That was running. That was running. That was coughing. That was making noise. start in 34 years. Come on, come on. Come on, you want it. You want it. Oh my goodness, it's so close. Come on. Oh, come on. Oh, it wants it real bad. Come on. Come on, you want it. Oh my God. Come on, come on, you want it. And well, that's where this video is going to end. I hate to leave you guys on a cliffhanger getting that close to getting it running, but I'm pretty sure my coil has just crapped the bed. It is gushing a lot of weird fluid out of it. It's super, super hot. So I think the thing finally crapped the bed. That was kind of my spare coil I use to test things like this. And well, my local parts store is open tomorrow, only till noon, but they want like $100 for a coil for this thing. And I'm not going to pay that when there are like 20-30 bucks online. So I'm probably just gonna order one online, wait till it shows up, and then I'll be able to hopefully make this thing run a little bit better than that. We are super, super close to getting it running. I've got all the wiring figured out that I need, which is super cool. I do have a boat fuel tank under there, which I've been pulling gas out of. I've got some fuel line and everything to hook it up to the fuel pump on this thing. I just want to make this thing actually run long enough, where, you know, fill the bowls, get it to idle a little bit, so I can actually pull gas out of that tank. If I can convince it to do that, I might put the rear end and everything under it and all the brakes off the Camaro, then maybe try to take it for a drive, but I don't really have faith in that motor. I know I've told you guys, you know, a million times every video that you guys have seen this thing in, but the thing was smoking. That's the whole reason it was parked in 91. It was smoking so bad that they couldn't drive it, and then it's been sitting for like 34 years. So I have like zero hope for the compression on that motor. And if it's really only hitting on 4, it's not going to be even good enough to drive around the block. It's probably going to die, and I could probably not even get it restarted with how low the compression is going to be on that thing. But I'll give it my best shot here on this channel. Well, this is Josh from Whiskers Wrenches. I hope you guys are having a great, great week, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Bye-bye. Among Us. Dreams are made of these. I didn't want to be the guy that, you know, filmed random children without their consent. That'd probably put me on a watch list somewhere.